Hello, everybody, and welcome. And thank you all for joining us today. My name is Richard Scriven. I will be your host for today's webinar. I am the co-founder of Vantage UAV. Just a little bit about SkyWatch. They have developed a new innovative operator insurance solution that we have had a very good look at and are very excited about. And we wanted to share it with you and with our wider network of pilots. And hopefully it will be of benefit to you also. So I would like to introduce you all to Brandon Packman, Head of Business Development, SkyWatch.AI. Over to you, Brandon.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the warm welcome, and I'm very excited to be here with you all this morning, or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Please feel free to get in touch with me however you like. You know, if you want to tweet at me, there I am, or email me or call me anytime, wake me up and tell me about your questions about insurance or SkyWatch in general, and I'd be more than happy to answer anything I can or find an answer any way I can. So anyways, we'll get going here. I'll just give you a quick overview of what we're going to cover. First, we're going to hit just a basic introduction to insurance. Then we'll get into drone insurance specifically. I'll give you a brief walkthrough through the SkyWatch solution, which I think is pretty slick. And then we'll cover a few safety insights that we've gleaned from analyzing a good number of flights. Then we will make plenty of time for question and answers. But speaking of questions, we've got a question for you all right now. There should be a little poll that'll pop up asking you what kind of insurance do you have, and there's a few options. So go ahead and click whatever applies, and we'll kind of see what all you guys have for coverage. And while you're filling that out, I'll give you just a teeny bit more time to do that. Quickly about me, I've been in insurance and in the drone space for about 5 years now, and been pretty heavily specifically focused on drones and insurance. So I'm happy to get any and all questions that you have throughout this presentation, and I'll probably pause every slide or two just to see if there's any questions before we move on. Really want to make this interactive for you folks, so don't feel shy. In insurance, you've got underwriters and agents and brokers. So the underwriter is really like your insurance company. They're the ones that price risk and take responsibility for paying, claims, that arise out of a covered loss on a policy. Pretty straightforward. Agents and brokers, we are your advocate to get the best price for an insurance product from an underwriter. So in this specific case, SkyWatch.AI, we are the broker, and our underwriting partner is Star Companies. Here's a little bit more about insurance. And as a business, most businesses, they get general liability, and that covers them for a good portion of all their business activities. However, we're all in this wacky drone space, and things fly. And if things fly, they are always excluded in your general liability policy. Hence the need for an aviation specific coverage. Aviation liability is going to pick up that risk where it is always excluded in general liability. And then a quick note, your aviation liability, it covers third parties. So if you have an employee pilot and they get injured by one of the drones, that would actually be not a third party. That would be like a workers' compensation claim, because it's all part of the same entity. And again, aviation liability covers you for third parties. Any quick questions about that basic info, or we'll probably move on?
All right, we have one more question. How do you handle COI requests from our clients?
Excellent. We are going to get there. They're chomping at the bit. We have that instantly available to you, that gets sent to your email as soon as you confirm that you want to purchase insurance. That certificate of insurance pops right into your email. All right, we'll keep going. So drone insurance specifically, as we mentioned, we've got aviation liability, and to be specific, that covers you for bodily injury and property damage. The drone falls out and hits a baby in the head, you got some bodily injury. It hits, the school bus, and the school bus has a broken window, that's your property damage. Hull insurance is the other common coverage for drone insurance, and that is physical damage to the system, but sounds like most people are getting familiar with that. Any other questions on this kind of area, or we'll keep pushing ahead?
We have one more.
Okay, good. I like it.
Regarding hull insurance, can I just reach out to you after the webinar?
You sure can. And my info, it'll pop up there again at the end.
Perfect. That's all the questions we have.
Thanks, Jen. All right, here we go. Okay, so common client requirements. They're going to come with a liability limit, and SkyWatch, just to let you know, we can start at $500,000 and go up to 10 million. Those higher limits are available only for Part 107 operators. But anyways, wide range of coverage that we allow on demand. They're going to want to see a certificate of insurance, and that's really like your proof of insurance. When the policeman pulls you over, he sees, show me your insurance. Same thing. This is your certificate of insurance. And then what they might request is to be named additionally insured. And what that means is that your policy responds before their policy. If you have a $2 million limit, they want to be named additionally insured, your coverage will respond until it's exhausted. You're both on the hook with your insurance company until that $2 million limit is exhausted. And then if they have insurance, theirs kicks in. Any questions on this before we get going?
We have one question regarding hull insurance. Does it cover the payload? In our work, generally, the payload is several times the actual drone.
Yeah, we would just, get specific on what that payload is, and it's a stated value of the entire system is how hull insurance operates. So it's a percentage of, say, the system's worth $100,000. The underwriter might say, well, this is going to cost you 7% and have a deductible of, a few $100, and then, you're insured. But that's generally how hull insurance works.
All right, we have one more question. Is the coverage for the company or per aircraft? We run multiple aircraft with multiple pilots. We also use independent contractors, and our current coverage covers them and their own equipment while they are working for us.
Yeah, excellent question. Really good question. So yeah, this covers the named insured and, all aircraft that are permissible to be flown by that insured. So if you've got a few pilots and you're ABC Drone Company and that's on the policy, all those drones are going to be covered for ABC Drone Company. So we've got a quick SkyWatch walkthrough, which I think is pretty slick. And again, feel free to ask any questions you have. So we've got two real main products here. We've got SkyWatch and the on-demand, and we've got SkyWatch and monthly. So on-demand, it's really a specific location by the hour. So we can go from 1 hour up to 8 hours on the same policy, and it's tied again to a specific location. Our monthly plan, it acts just like an annual policy in that it covers you 24/7 throughout the United States. And it's a pretty darn good deal in that if you think you're going to be busy for a few months, say during the flying season, this business is somewhat seasonal, great, sign up for a monthly plan. And then, hey, it's, September 30th and I don't need this coming up in October, you can turn it all off inside of the app. You don't have to get a hold of anybody and go back to on-demand, type insurance. So Anyways, it's really simple, it's transparent, and it's fully customizable, for what you and your business needs. The last thing that's really a unique feature that I want to hit is safer pilots pay less with SkyWatch. We have the ability to read flight logs and award safer pilots up to 50% off the rates that you see in SkyWatch to begin with, which are pretty darn competitive. Anyways, we call it, pay how you fly insurance. Any questions about this before we get going?
Yes, so we have one question. When will the app be available for Android?
It is available now, which is very exciting. Yep, you can find us in the App Store or in Google Play right now. If you search for SkyWatch.AI or SkyWatch.AI Drone Insurance, we will pop right up. Okay, so to begin with SkyWatch, you got to fill out a quick profile. You can do that, with Facebook or Google, or just be old-fashioned and fill out, the few fields, and make sure you put an email in there that you're going to check, as all communication and correspondence will come to that email. You'll get a certificate of registration. And again, we fully support iOS and Android, and we'll dig into any trouble that you have. So the actual SkyWatch, flight planning, this is what you look like here. So on the left, you can see we have a, kind of densely populated area, and SkyWatch is fully aware of that. So it's a real-time risk assessment that is picking up, airspace, congested roads, and things like schools or prisons or hospitals, really public, safety concerns. So, and again, if you look in the bottom left-hand portion of the screen, you'll see we do charge more for this type of flight. If the mission's a little riskier, we charge more for it. And then on the right, you'll see, hey, we've got pretty clear area, doesn't seem to be densely populated, we're flying in a park. Great, $5 an hour, pretty sweet. So the other thing I really want to draw your attention to is the default coverage area is a static circle. And some of you might have seen this sort of thing before. That's fine if that works for you. However, on the right, we're showing an example of our polygon feature. And really, you can create any customizable flight planning area that really reflects the mission you're going to fly. And it'll help you to avoid paying for insurance coverage that you don't need if this kind of static circle overlaps an area that you really don't intend to fly over. So any questions about this before we move on?
We do have one question regarding pay as you fly. Safer pilots pay less. Can you differentiate between flying for hobby versus flying commercially to set a discounted rate that's accurate?
Yeah, so we just look, to be honest, it's based off the telemetry. So we don't make any distinction between a commercial pilot and someone who's out there flying as a hobby pilot. The only distinction that we really make is that we do not offer coverage above $1 million for someone who is not a Part 107 holder.
All right, we have one more question.
Terrific.
How do you handle flyaways where damage occurs outside of the covered area?
Hey, great question. If it is a flyaway, we're going to want to look at the flight log, if there is a claim, but that's fully covered.
All right, one more question. I heard that it is also based on experience, right? So commercial pilots that are flying a lot are actually paying less. And I believe that was tied to the previous question.
Sure, yeah, no, so there is an experience portion to the discount and there's a safety portion to the discount, but as far as SkyWatch is concerned, it's based off the experience that you have with SkyWatch and this data that we can track and see, not your overall experience of, hey, I've been flying since I was, 20 and now I'm 50. So good on you, but that doesn't count as far as the experience discount within SkyWatch.
All right, and one more question. How soon will coverage be considered outside of the US, for example, the Caribbean?
Okay. Yeah, so we are working to expand SkyWatch globally. Right now, you're probably going to see us first in sort of like the UK and the EU. Sometime when the leaves come down or we're celebrating the holidays, I think we should be expanding into those markets. But don't have quite a specific date, but we are pushing ahead to expand globally.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions.
Awesome. Okay, one quick, just a detailed note. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you'll see these two little bullets connected. That's how you transition between the polygon and then the circle below that. So if you want to play with that, that's how that functionality works. All right, moving on. So when you've picked a coverage area, time to pick your policy, and it's very simple. I'm anticipating this question, so I'll kind of spell this out now. There is, at the top left, you can see it says start, and then it says now, or schedule, or monthly. So you can pick, a coverage area and start the policy when you're out in the field, or if you're concerned that you might be in an area where you might not have great coverage, you can do that in advance. Or if you have a client that says, hey, here's the requirements, can you get me a $5 million limit and I need to see your certificate of insurance and be named additionally insured? Great, no problem. You can schedule that in advance out to 60 days right now in SkyWatch. And again, if you want to do a monthly plan, that's available there. Pick your liability limit. Pick a duration if that is an on-demand option. And then at the bottom, that is where you are putting in additionally insured entity names. Any questions about this before we move on?
Nope, there are no questions at this time.
Okay, folks, all right, moving along. So you purchase insurance, instantly you're gonna see that screen on the left pop up, just kind of a summary, and then you're going to see this certificate of insurance pop into your email instantly. Any questions before we push ahead?
No questions.
Okie dokes. All right, so if you would like, this is a total option, you have the ability to fly within SkyWatch.AI. There's a little drone icon at the top of the screen, looks like a Phantom 4 out there. And you will transition into what they call the DJI Mobile SDK, flight module. It's what DJI provides to third-party app developers like ourselves, so you can fly inside of our app. And I think a really important feature is that as you can see in the bottom left-hand screen, you'll see where you are in relation to that coverage area that you've picked. And you will get an alert if you leave that coverage area. You can also set other distance and height boundaries and other things like you're used to in DJI Go. Anyways, so you fly, then you land, and you're gonna see this type of scoring around that flight. And then as you establish some currency within SkyWatch, you're going to get this safety badge, and that will translate into a discount. And as you see, here's a discount for 30% off. So if you're used to paying like $10 an hour for $1 million of coverage, that's now $7 for you. So any questions about this sort of thing?
So we do have a question. Someone said, I have one customer that requested GL for the business. The GL under the aviation policy was not robust enough to satisfy them. Do you offer additional GL or only aviation related?
So inside the app, that is what we offer. However, if you have some drone insurance specific other coverages, happy to help you out there. Within the app, it is just aviation liability. However, we are brokers and you can get in touch with us.
Perfect. That's the only question for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right. So, again, this is just kind of a summary of what SkyWatch looks like. It's a pretty ingenious solution that I think puts you in charge of picking the coverage that you need, whether it's on demand or monthly. We want to try and help people manage the risk and manage their cost in this kind of emerging market. So I guess I'll ask again if there's any sort of questions out there about the product or anything we've covered, or also kind of push ahead into some safety insights that we've gleaned.
We do have one question. Someone asked, I have a day waiver. Do you cover nighttime flight? I am in total compliance with FAA requirements.
Yeah, so if you are trying to fly at night, you will see a little pop-up that pops up saying, oh, it's nighttime. Do you have a waiver? So it's, on the honor code. And if you've got a waiver, you say yes, you're clear to fly. If you don't, and you say yes, and something were to happen, that's called insurance fraud. So you don't want to do that. So good on you for getting that night waiver. Good job.
Perfect. That's all. Actually, no, we just had one more question come in. Will the Save As You Fly SDK work with certain mapping software? It's not always feasible to use the DJI Go 4 app.
Understood. So what we're doing is, we have this flight module that will pull the telemetry data and score it, which is great. We fully understand that other, flight, software is sometimes needed, stuff like Leachy, or, you're used to DJI Go, or you need to do some mapping. No problem. We can take flight logs manually right now, and you'll see our website updated so that folks can upload flight logs to us very, very, very soon. And speaking of mapping, we have an integration that we are just about ready to release with a very cool, well-known mapping software, so that you can pick where you want to fly to create a map and create that coverage area as the same thing in the workflow of a cool drone mapping software. But more on that later to come. Any other questions out there? Very, very happy to answer them all. And if something comes to you in the middle of the night, you're in the shower, again, I will have all my info readily available to answer anything.
Yes, we do have one more question. I understand that you have something with DroneDeploy. Can you explain?
Okay, yeah. So we did create a quick and cool little app on the DroneDeploy app market. And this is really about taking flight logs out of DroneDeploy, okay, and scoring them. So instead of having to fly within our flight module, this is the first way that you're able to kind of automatically send us flight logs from DroneDeploy and get scored and get a discount.
All right, awesome. We have one more question. Someone said, I fly DJI Pilot for thermography. Is this compatible?
Yeah, good question. If you're flying outside of our environment, with, outside of the app, that's fine. You are covered for insurance, but we won't be able to see that flight log automatically in our system. So just to be clear, if you fly within the flight module of SkyWatch, great. We're going to be able to see that telemetry data. It'll count towards your experience discount and could count towards your safety discount. But if you're flying with DJI Go 4 or Autopilot Lychee or this other one, then we're not going to be able to read the telemetry data. But again, you will be covered by the insurance.